Hey friends and everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. I am Frederick and I'm happy to have you here today. In this video, we are going to talk about relationships in .NET 8 EF Core. Relationship can also be established between modules in two ways. The first one is by using conventions and navigation properties, and that is the default one, and the other one is by using Fluent API. In this video, we are going to cover these two guys here, so stay tuned and watch it out. Before we dive right into this, if you know you have not subscribed to this channel, then click on the notification bell as well as soon as you subscribe to receive updates as soon as I upload a new video. You can also like this video to support this channel grow as well. So first of all, let's talk about establishing EF Core relationship using conventions and navigation properties. So navigation properties allow you to navigate and manage relationship in both directions by using data annotations. So for basic relationships, conventions and navigation properties are often sufficient. Now with this, it can be used in one-to-one, one-to-many, but not many-to-many. For now, EF Core does not give direct access to many-to-many relationship. So when using conventions and navigation properties to establish relationship in EF Core, you can do that with one-to-one and one-to-many or many-to-one relationships. I believe as soon as I mention this relationship, you know or remember the types of relationship that we have, isn't it? We have 3 types of relationship, and that is what we're going to have a look in here. I have a diagram here that shows you the types of relationship that we're going to talk about in EF Core. We have one-to-one. So in the one-to-one, we're having a car company and a car model. Okay? So within the one-to-one, one is the principal and one is the dependent. So one is the parent and one is the child. So which one do you want to make a reference to the other one? Car company, it is a parent. Car model, it is a child. Why? Because car company do provide or do make the car model. You see? So car company can exist, but car model cannot exist without car company. I believe this is clear. Now this also tells you that one company, one car model. So 2 companies cannot have the same car model. You see? So one company, one car model. And that's all about one-to-one relationship. So we're going to have a practical look with this using the same car company and the car model. When we come to the one-to-many or many-to-one, one doctor, one patient, isn't it? That's one-to-one. Here talking about one-to-many. So one doctor and our many patients. So as you can see from here, when you go to hospitals or clinics, one doctor can attend to multiple patients, isn't it? Good. So that's why we say it is one-to-many. Or from this angle, it is many-to-one. We're also going to have a look on how to establish this relationship using navigation properties and conventions. Now the last one here, it is a many-to-many. So think of it, you are in school, and now we have students in here, we have subjects. You see that you have English, you have mathematics, you have other subjects, that science and other subjects. Now, many students can also offer the same subject. So, many students, many subjects. So, let's say it's a science class. In a science class, we have about 30 students in there. They are offering the same science. You see? So, that subject can be offered by 30 students. And 30 students can also offer the same subject. Aside from that, we have other subjects that can be offered by many students. You see? And many students can also offer the same subjects. So here we're going to say that it is many-to-many. We're going to have a look on how to implement the following relationships. And the first two here, one-to-one, one-to-many, is going to be covered by conventions and navigation properties. And now, since the third one, there's no, the EF Core does not support it, does not give a direct access to this many-to-many, we're going to use the Fluent API. So when you're done with this, you're also going to have a look on the Fluent API, how to establish it one-to-one, one-to-many, and now many-to-many. So let's say you're having a simple application whereby you do not need any large or any complex relationship, then you can go in for the navigation properties and conventions. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm going to introduce you to that first. Then we come to when having a complex app that you need a complex relationship, you can also implement using the Fluent API. All right, so I believe this is clear, isn't it? That's fine. So launch your Visual Studio, and now that's the Visual Studio 2022. Let's create a new project for this. So since we are going to be working with database, we need to go in for Web API, and this is going to be demo EF core relationships. So the source code of this project will be available, so you can check the video description as well. So EF core relationships, let's click on create to get this project created. So we need to install 3 packages here so we can be using it for our test purpose. So let's get them installed. Let's go to dependencies, right click, and let's install EF core, tools, and SQL Server. So we need Entity Framework core, so let's install this. We want to, okay, so we install Microsoft the Entity Framework core. So we need to install SQL Server and now tools. And the last one is SQL Server. So we need to install, okay, so tools, we need to install this too. Alright, so we have them installed, and that is it. Okay, so we can close this up. If you want to verify, save this, you can just go to solution. Then from dependencies, you can just check for packages and see the 3 packages that we installed recently. Okay, we can build the project. So let's first talk about one-to-one relationship. Now we're going to create models for that. So let's see, so solution, and I'm going to create a new folder in here, and these are going to be models. Now inside this model, we're going to create a class for this, and this is going to be the company and car model. So car company and car model. All right, so we have car company, then we're going to have car model. So the car company, let's have our property in here. So default, we're going to have an ID for a primary key. We can also specify, let's say this is string for car name. So for the name of the company, and now let's go in there and now create the car model. So with the car model, we're going to have the same ID for primary key. Then you're going to have string as a model. Okay. Now let's establish the relationship. So the car model and the car company, which one do you think is the parent company? Oh, it is a parent model. I believe you're saying that it is a car company, right? Because the car company has to produce a car model. So car company can exist, but car model cannot exist without car company. You see? So in order to establish this, we're going to make it in a straight form that you cannot assign, you cannot add data to the car model without specifying the car company as a parent company. You see? But you can add car company, since it's a parent, you can add car company without adding car model. And that is a one-to-one relationship. So let's see, how do you treat this? So we down here, let's have this relationship. And on this type here, it is one-to-one. Yes. Okay. Now we have this, so let's come down here and establish the relationship. So in order to establish the relationship here, this is a child model. So we can have access to then car company. Okay. And now the car company, we're going to make here a same car company. So with this, we call this as navigation properties. So this is navigation property. If you want to navigate to the car company, unless you can use this as navigation property. Aside from doing this, you need to specify a foreign key. Okay, so here we're going to say this is int and car company ID. It tells you that before you provide access or data and object to this one, the values to each of the properties here, you must also provide a property to this. This car model cannot exist when the car company doesn't exist. So the car company should be there before you can add car model. Take note, the car company should be there before you can add car model because of the relationship here that we have initialized. This is a foreign key, so FK. Now let's go to the car company. This is a parent company. So this can exist when car model doesn't even exist. So in order to do that, we do not need to specify a foreign key. What we need to specify is only the navigation property. Okay, so here we specify this is relationship. Now this is one-to-one. And now we need the car model. And that is car model. And this is just navigation property. Okay, so the reason is you have to also make this as nullable. Why am I saying that? Else, when you are adding values to this, you have to supply value to this as well. Because as soon as you decide not to add this nullable, it turns it as a required property. So you need to provide values to this. Meanwhile, we don't want to do that. We don't want to provide values to this car model when adding company. So make it as nullable. The same thing applies to this car model. You have to make this also as nullable. So you can skip this and then assign only the foreign key. Okay. So defaultly, with the EF core, it's going to convert it or has a convention that if you provide this as a foreign key and if you provide this as a navigation property, it's going to generate a foreign key with this against the car company. So if you want to add car model, the value that you apply for the car company or you assign to the car company is going to check if it corresponds to any of the property, any of the values or the record in here. If not, you're going to throw an exception. Okay, good. And aside from that, here we are not specifying cascade property. That is a constraint. The constraint could be that if I delete, if I delete the parent, the child will also get deleted. Defaultly, it is assigned to cascade. Yeah, that's a cascade. So it tells you that if I delete car company here, its correspondent to the car model also get deleted. What if in case you don't want to do that? If I delete car company, I want to maintain the car model. That is when we have to use the Fluent API to customize our own way. Look at that later on, but for now, let's maintain this. So this is the basic one, and with this, as soon as I delete the parent, the child would also get deleted. Put that in mind. When having a small application, you don't need to be using the Fluent API. You can use this and go your way because it's very simple and easy to implement as well, isn't it? That is it. Very simple. Okay, so we have this. We're going to create our connection. So let's see from here. We go to our controller. No controller first. We go to our app settings. Let's establish our DB connection in here. So we have our connection strings. Then let's say this is default. So let's specify the server to be local. Database is what EF core DB. Trusted connection to true, and our trust server certificate to also true. Okay. Now once you're done with this, we're going to create our DB context. Right. Let's create a folder here, and I'll name it as data. Now inside this data folder, we're going to create a class, and that's going to be the DB context class. So app DB context class is going to be inside that is going to inherit from DB context. And now we can create a constructor for this. So here we need to specify our table. So it is a DB set, and here it is car company. And now we can talk about car companies. We can also talk about car model, and that will be car models. Okay, so you have our tables created. Now let's see. Let's register this in the program. So here we're going to have builder.services.add DB context. Then we need an app DB context class. In here we can specify options. Options.use SQL server. Then let's have builder. We're gonna have access configuration .get connection strings. Then in that we're gonna pass in the default connection string that we created. Okay, so we did that here. When you check this app DB context, that's the app settings. We have this, so that's what we are providing. Okay, this is done. Let's save this. Let's click on this, set this to false. Save this. Now we are going to build this project again and perform migration. Now this is done. So we go to package manager console, and now in here you're going to say add migration. That is first. And now let's update the database. So you see that when you check here, we have car company created, and I can see we have primary key over here as an ID. The same thing applies to this. We have a primary key in here. But aside from that, you can see from the car models, we are establishing a relationship in here. So you can see we have a foreign key in here. You see, and that is what we are having. That is a foreign key that we created. Okay, so now let's see. Let's apply, or let's update this database. So while this is going to run, we can check from SQL server object. You can find it from the view. Then in here we can open this. You open a desktop, that's at the server database, and you can see we have EF core DB. So if I open this, we're going to have on our tables folder, we're going to have two tables in here for us: car companies and our car models. If I right click on this and I go to view data, click on models, and also go to view data, let's check it out. So you can see from here that we have car company ID. So if you add, or before you add car model, you must provide car company ID. Let's check for car companies. It's just ID and our name. So you have to add this first as a parent before you can provide value to the chart. Because when providing value to the chart, is going to require of a parent ID. I believe this is clear. Yes, so once you understand this, you can now implement it with your own models and keep going. Yes, that's fine. Okay, now we want to create simple controller so we can add data to this and also get data, okay, to make this work complete. So let's quickly go to the solution, and in that, let's right click here. We're going to create a class. Maybe let's create folder in here, and I'm going to name this as repo. So inside this repo, I'm going to create a class in here. Let's say this is repository. In that, I'm going to create constructor. Let's inject appdb context. Let's create an assigned field. None here. So this is public async task. So this is add company. So add car company. And then this is car company. Okay. So in here, we're going to say that appdb context dot car companies dot add then car company. Aside from that, await appdb context dot save changes async. So this is what we are doing. Okay, then we can also add car models. So add car model, and now here we're going to say this is car model. So from the car model, we just have to copy this, add it here, copy this, add it here, and add S. Okay, so we are done. Now let's get car model. Let's get all. So we can have access to the same in here. Let's say so public async task. Then we can have get car companies. Now this map up to await appdb context dot car companies dot to list async. Okay. Now we can do same to the car models. And now instead of having this car company, car models, and that is it. Okay, let's create our controller for this quickly. We go to controller. Now we can even change this weather forecast and make this as this is test. Okay, so test controller, and now maybe you can specify an API slash. Now I'm going to remove everything from here. Okay, then let's create constructor, inject the repository in here. We create an assigned field for this. Then here we can have access to post method, and now this post here we say it is company. So this is public async task, and we're going to use action result. And so here we're going to add car company, and now we need this car company model. So in here we say this is var results and equal to await repository dot add car company. Okay, so here, since it's going to return its void type, we have to write something like this, and I'll return. Okay, so we say saved. So company saved. We can also copy this, and I'll make a duplicate here, and I'll change it to car models, isn't it? So this is model, and add car model. Very simple one, and we can just car model and copy this, put it here. And now instead of saying add car company, what I'm going to do, yes, do the right thing, isn't it? And now you say model saved. Now let's get all. So this is HTTP get, and now with this we say it is company. And now with this company, we are still going to have same in here. Can grab this, paste it here. So this is get car companies. Okay, and now with this we can have return. Okay, so I wait repository dot get companies. Then we can also do same here. So this is returning car companies. So let's see the reason why. Cannot convert this to void. Let's check the repository. So get companies. So this must be a tax of list of car company, and I will do same in here, list of car models. Okay, all right, let's see. We must close this and close this. Okay, I think it's solved. Let's go back again to the controller, and now from here we have it done. So we can use this lambda expression to handle this. Okay, that is all. And we can make a duplicate here. And this is car models. So dot get car models. That is all. So let's run this and see. But before that, we have to register the service that we created. So builder dot services dot add scope. Then we say repository. That is all. Let's test this out. Yeah, so it is ready. Now if I open it widely, you see we have the post and I'll get. Now let's try to post first. So let's try with the model. This is a chart model. So you can see we have a reference that we have to make, but we are not going to, since we made this as null, we can skip this. But we need to provide company ID. Let's say we do not and click on execute. Let's see the feedback that you're going to have from here. You can see that an error occurred while saving the entity changes. See the inner exception for details, right? And I want to check it. You can see it tells you that the insert statement conflicted with the foreign key constraint. That is a car models / what company models. And now it is saying that there's a table known as company models and you need a column ID. You need to provide value for it. So you cannot accept or pass in while you have not created the parent component. So let's create a parent component in here. So we're going to say car company. We made this also null, so we can clear all this. And let's say this is Toyota. So for Toyota, we can remove this trailing comma. Let's execute this, and I can see this is saved. When you go to get company, let's check it out. So get company, try this out. Now you can see we have the Toyota in here, right? Now we're going to access. We're going to add the model, and that's going to be the parent, not the child. So from here, let's specify the ID of 1 since we just added this one. And now which model? We can have VIT. Okay, so Toyota VIT is a model. Now click on execute, and I can see this is saved. So if I click on get models and then try this out, you can see now we have company ID as 1, isn't it? Now we have this added. We're going to add another one. So the same company, let's put another company in here. So we're going to have this Kantanka. Now let's add this, execute. Then within this Kantanka, we can add this. So we have the type in here, and now you see we are Brunima, we're passing in the same company ID, right? Now check it out. We said company ID is 1. We've added it already, and we are still assigning to this one. So we are assigning one parent to 2 children, isn't it? Okay. Now here, is it possible? Let's try this and check it out. So click on execute, and now let's see. We have an error here. Why? Because it must be unique. So as soon as you assign 1, since it is 1-to-1, it tells you that a parent can be assigned once. You see that? And now, if we assign the parent, you cannot assign it anymore. It is 1-to-1. So we have to, want to check the parent. Let's get our parent from here. Let's get our parent. So you can see we have Kantanka. So you must provide ID of 2. So let's go in there and provide ID of 2. And now that's going to be all. So execute, and I can see this is saved. You see that? It is saved from here. Now when you try to get our models, let's see. So get all models. You can see now we have VIT, we have Abronima, and this from Kantanka, and this from Toyota. So that's a 1-to-1. So 1-to-1, one must be a parent, one must be a child. The child should, or the child is independent. The child depends on the parent. Before you pass in or you store data to the child, you must provide the parent ID. You cannot use parent ID twice. It is only one that only once. That is why you said you want to make it 1-to-1 relationship. That's fine. Let's go to 1-to-many or many-to-1 relationship. So let's close this one. And now the same repository that we created, the same model, we're going to use it as well in here. So we're going to follow the diagram that I displayed. When you check this, you see we have 1-to-many. We're going to use doctor and our patient. So let's quickly create that model. And we're also going to do same in here. So we create our models in here. Then let's create a new class. This is going to be doctor. Then the doctor is going to have an ID. I believe you know this. Doctor also going to have name. So string. Okay. Now let's create the patient. So let's add same in here, or we can just go like this straight, the doctor in here, copy and now paste it up, and let's change this to patient. Okay, so we have a patient class. Now this patient, I need to change this. Now patient has an ID and now name. We're going to establish 1-to-many. So 1 doctor, many patients, or many patients, 1 doctor, isn't it? So here, let's start from the doctor. This is the parent. So you're going to say 1-to-many. So you're going to provide list. So you can use list or eye collections or virtual. So let's use list of patients. Okay, then here we can say we need patient in here. Let's make this as null, so we did not provide values to this patient when assigning or providing doctor. This is a parent, so from the parent model, when you create a table for it and we are adding data, we do not want to assign or have populate a list of patients. No, we don't want to do that. Okay, what we're interested here is just add the doctor name. Now let's go to, so this one to many. Now this is one too many, and that tells you one doctor, many patients. Okay, so one doctor, many patients. Now let's go to the patients, and in here we need to provide doctor, make it nullable, and we say this is doctor, and we need to provide an ID. So this is doctor ID. So the doctor is going to take all of this. You need to provide an ID. So this is navigation property. You know this already, isn't it? And there's a foreign key. When you go to doctor, you have a navigation property. That's fine. So we have this in here, and that is relationship. So it is, this is many to one. It tells you many patients, one doctor. So many patients, one doctor, and that doctor must have an ID in here. So you cannot pass in patient without specifying doctor ID, but you can pass in doctor while specifying the patient. You can also assign this doctor to many patients, because we are saying many patients in here correspond to one doctor. So the same patient, the same doctor can be assigned to many patients, not like the one-to-one, whereby one doctor, one patient, one doctor, one patient. No, we don't do that. Okay, so once we're done with this, we're going to create our, let's say from our repo. So what I'm going to do here is quickly we can just make a copy of this and now edit this quickly. So I'm going to pause this, I'm going to do this, and I'll come back. I believe you can also do this, right? So let's give ourselves about a minute and I'll quickly work on this. So this is doctor. So this is one to many. So relationship, and now here this is one to one. It starts from this. Okay. Alright, so I'm done, but you see we have some red lines in here. Can you guess why we're having this? Yes, because you have not registered or created a database table for this. So quickly we have to go in there and undo this magic. Let's save this. We go to the AppDB context class, and in here we're going to make a copy of this. Then this is going to be doctor, and this is going to be doctors. We're going to have patient, and this is going to be patient. Yeah, so doctors, we have to move this up. Yes, so that is it. We have this created. So when it go to the repo and check it again, you can see that issue solved. Okay, let's save this. Let's apply migration again. So this is not going to be first, this is going to be second. So the file has been created, as you can see from here, and we're going to update the database. So you can see it is done. Now we can go to the controller and then create a controller for this. So let's go to the test, and now in here we're going to create the same controller for this. So let's first add, and this is one-to-many post. So we are adding doctor, and now with this doctor, add doctor to this, and here we need a doctor model and a doctor instance. So model and our instance. So here we're going to look up for repository.add doctor. Then we pass in a doctor here. So here we're going to say doctor saved. Okay, we can just make a copy of this, and I'll change it to patient. So add patient. And we need a patient model and a patient instance. Now from here, add patient, we pass in the patient, and now here patient saved. Okay, now let's go to get all. So get all doctors, and I get all patients. So from here, get all. So this is doctors. So get doctors, and now we're going to look up for, okay, so here it is get doctors, and now the same thing applies to the patient. So get patient, we can have access to this method, get patient, and now it is also get patient, and now here there's going to be patient, isn't it? So let's specify as patient, and that is all. Let's save this, let's run this and check it out. Okay, so let's see. Now we have our doctor, we have our patient, so we can add, you cannot add the patient without adding doctor. Check it out. So here we have this our doctor, we made it null, so we can remove this. Then we have this patient, so let's say patient here, it is Fred. Okay, and that's the doctor ID 0. Try to add this, and you're going to have same issue. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see, you want to check it, we have the same thing as we saw it. We need to provide column ID, as you can see, foreign key constraint. Okay, now let's close this. We go to doctor, and with the doctor we can clear the patient list off since we made it as null. And a doctor here, it is Frederick Asante. Okay, so we can clear this trailing comma, click on execute. Now this doctor, it is saved. Let's add another one. So here we have a Netcode-Hub, another doctor that you never know until now. So we have two doctors in here, right? Now let's go to patient, and we're going to provide a patient in here. So this patient 1. Patient 1, we're going to assign to doctor 1. Okay, now saved. Now you're going to have patient 2, and the same doctor 1. So this has to work because it's one-to-many. So one doctor can handle many what? Patients. Execute this, and we say it is saved. Patient 3, doctor 1. Check it out. Saved. Now let's have patient 4, doctor 2. Doctor 2. And that is also saved. Now let's get our patient, and I'll check it out. So you can see from here we have doctor ID 1, doctor ID 2, doctor ID 3, right? But see, why are we having this null here? It means we did not include. We can actually include this, okay? So if you want to include all, let's go to the same page, and now where we have our repository, there's our repository. So in here, where we're getting the list, you can see from here .toList after adding doctor, we have to dot here if we want to include patients. Let's see if this one will work. So we're going to include patients. Okay, then when it comes to the patients, you're going to include doctors. So So let's grab this from here. Patient dot include. Then this is going to be doctors. Okay, so let me make it as D because doctor does not start with P. Okay, so we have this here, right? And now we can actually handle this. Now let's save this and now let's refresh it again and check it out. So we're going for patient. Try this out, execute this, and boom, we have this cyclical error. Because why are you having this? Because we have to include, let's go to patient doctors, and now from the chart you have a list in here. From the patient you have a list in here. So when you go to doctors, once you have this list, let's apply this JSON ignore. JSON ignore that this guy. Save this, and our problem solved. Let's get patient again. Try this out. Now you can see we have ID, patient ID 1, Frederick Asante. So you can see we have the same doctor have been assigned to patient ID of 2, patient ID of 3, patient ID of 4, but patient ID of 5 has a different doctor. That's Netcode-Hub. So you can see that here we're able to also implement one-to-many. One doctor, many patients. And doctor can exist, but patient cannot exist because patient is dependent to doctor, and doctor is a parent or the principal in here. Good. Now that is it for using these conventions and navigation properties. Okay. From the third one, we can actually make this work, but you cannot add data to it because EF Core does not provide any direct access to many-to-many. How do you implement many-to-many? Let's give it a try and see how to implement this many-to-many here, and now verify or testify to what I'm talking about. So with the many-to-many relationship, we're going to use student and our subject. So let's create our models quickly. And now edit our models, right click. Now let's add subjects. So let's add student first because student, it is a parent. Now student is going to have an ID, as you know, ID, and student is going to have string name. You see? Now let's create a subject. So add a class here, and this is subject. And you know, subject are going to have the same thing. ID, then subject is going to have name. Now let's create a relationship. Let's start from the parent. Now this is many-to-many. So from many-to-many, we're going to have access to, we can use list of subjects. Then we call this as well subjects. Let's make this as null, so we do not provide values. Don't forget this, else you're going to have an error in it. Make this as null. Now let's go back to, let's copy this, or we can go back to the subject and then provide list of students. So instead of having the same reference in itself, we're going to have student. You see? So one student, there's no one student, many students, many subjects. Okay? So many subjects, many students. Now this is what that you need to do when working with conventions and navigation properties. That's what I want to do. Okay? These are the navigation properties, and convention here is going to combine this. You're going to create a virtual table. It's going to combine the student and now the two tables together and then create a separate table. Let's see. But when you create this separate table, for now, EF Core does not provide any API or any access, direct access to this table. So you can have access to this table. But when you have table data in it, you can retrieve it. Okay? Now let's see how to work with this. So we're going to save this. Let's stop this. Now let's apply database migration. So this is relationship. That's many-to-many. Let's go to package manager console, and that's the third one. Okay, so we have it in here. Now let's see. Okay, we did not specify any table in here, so let's go students. We need to specify that inside the AppDB context. So db set, and now we need what? Student as student. Then we need another one. So db set as subject. Then this is subject. Let's save this. Now let's perform the migration again. So instead of this third, I'm going to make this as fourth because we have third already. So when you check this, you can see we have a table we created and we have the student table. Check it out. That's the first table. We have subject table and we have student subject table. So this table combines the two primary keys as composite keys, you know, and these are the composite keys because you have the student ID and now the subject ID. So it is taking all the two keys in there, two primary keys, and now assign it to a table, and that makes it as what? Composite keys. Composite key is when you have two primary keys, more than two primary keys in the same table. So we have the two primary keys in here, and we have the table name as what? Student subject. But with this, we cannot have access to this directly. Let's see. So let's update this. Update database. Now let's see. Okay, so the table is done. When you go to this, refresh the table, and you can see from here, you can see we have student subject, right? If I click here and I click on view data, we have student subject, and now this needs an ID. So student ID and the subject ID. Now let's go in there and add subject and add student. And let's see. So we go to the repository. So there's a repository. Where is it? Have you found yours? Oh, this is missing me. Okay, that is this one. So here we have many to many. Now with this many to many, you know what? I'm going to copy this because the same thing. So I can just grab this from here and now paste it down there. Very simple. Yeah, so add student. And what I'm looking for here, it is student. So passing student. Let's add this student, and that is all. We go to get student. So get student, and here we're saying that get a list of students and student. Okay, but here dot include what? We're going to include p dot. We can include subject. So when you do that, it tells you that you have to go to the subject. You have this list. We have to make this as ignore JSON. There is a chart, so ignore JSON. So JSON ignore. Let's put on top here. Let's go to the repo again. And now this is get student. So here after get subject. So subject, and this is get subject from here, and now subject. Okay, so subject dot include student. Okay, now add subject, and another subject. So subject dot add subject. That is it. Let's create a controller for this one. So you go to the test controller, and now there's many to many. So we're gonna copy this. And now in here, there's many to many. Okay, so here this is student and our student, so we know this already. I'm going to copy this one here and I'll change it there straight ahead. So our student, then student saved. So here this is get student, so get student in here, and now that is get student, and the method name is what? Get student. Very simple. Now let's go to subject. So subject, and that is add subject. Now with this, the payload here is going to be subject, and here we say add subject, and I get subject save. So here we're going to say, so add subject. We have to provide this add. Okay, and now the last one here, it is subject. This one, subject. And now get subject, and now get subject. Okay, very simple. Let's also run this and check it out. So we have the table ready. Now let's check it out. From the subject, we're going to add student. So we can add student from here. So the first student is Netcode-Hub. Now you have to clear this off. Then let's click on execute. That is saved. So student 1. We have Netcode itself as another one. We have Fred. Then we have the Frederick. Okay, so we have this. Yeah, so we have this. When you go to get all students, so get students, you can see that we are having the student, but we are having a list of what? Subjects. You see? So this subject is null. Although we included subject, but this is null because this has to retrieve from the subject table. But the question is, how do we assert or how do we insert values to this subject? That is a problem. You see? Let's try it with the next one. The post the subject. Now here, you know, this is mathematics. That's a subject one, so it is saved. Let's add another one, science. Then maybe of learning English language is very important too, so let's say English. Then, you know, we have 3 subjects in here. Let's go and now get it out. So get all subjects in here and now check it out. We also having the subjects, right? We have the subject ID, we have the subject science, and we have this in here. So when you go to the students, you know, we have a student, but we do not have the subject that each has. When you go back to the repo in here, let's see, from the repo, where is the repo? That is one. You know, from the student, we are including subject, isn't it? But it is not able to get it. Why? Here, when you go to the one-to-many, we included the patient and then we got it. We are including subject and we are not getting it because of that third table. We do not have direct access to that third table. Okay, so let's maybe defaultly let's create or let's open that 2 combined table, and now student ID1 has a subject ID1. The same ID1 again has subject ID1. Okay, so let's see, we have change it to ID2 has subject ID1. Okay, now student ID1 has subject ID2. Student ID2 has subject ID1. They have subject ID3. Now let's save this one. So these are subject IDs. When you go and find the subject, you know the subject, we have the English and now the science that we added, right? we save this, and I want to run this. Let's check it again from here. After saving this, we can now run this again, and I can see now we have this. So student ID 1 Netcode-Hub has the following subject: mathematics and science. Now student ID 2 has mathematics and English. Student ID 3 has none. You see? So you can see here it is many to many. So many subjects can be assigned to students, and at the same many subjects can also be assigned to another student. So many subjects can be assigned to many students, and now many students can also assign to many subjects. Okay, so one subject can be assigned to multiple people, and now multiple people can also be assigned to the same subject and other subjects too. And that example what we are seeing in here. So in this, what you should do here is combine the student and the subject table together, and this convention is done by the EF core. And EF core does not provide any direct access. The question is, how do you access or how do you insert value to it? That becomes a problem. So when you use these navigation properties, unless you manually add it yourself to the database, that's what I did. But I'm not sure this is the best way to handle it, isn't it? That's the reason why we have the Fluent API. Fluent API gives you the direct access, so you can actually modify or create your own table, specify your IDs, and now your relationships or your rules or your constraints and etc. Okay, we're going to talk about that in the next video. So watch out for the next video to talk about how to implement this well or detailedly in using the API in the EF core relationship. I believe this is clear. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to catch up again. Till then, take care.